Exactly. I think Wrexham is a totally different story to us, even though the dream is the same.
It's incredible. I mean, you think about it, if you look at other teams that are trying to do what you did, is there is there a playbook, or it was just magical kind of how you guys were able to kind of build it, because there were so many challenges, whether it was on the pitch, off the pitch, financially. I mean, there's so many things that made it all happen. But you think there's like a playbook out there for like looking like a Wrexham today, right? I mean, that's what they want, right? And they haven't gotten there yet, but that's what they want.
Exactly. I think Wrexham is a totally different story to us, even though the dream is the same. Economically, obviously, they've got tremendous economics backing, which we didn't have. And that obviously helps. When you're coming through the divisions and you've got the best players, it's going to have a big impact on the outcome. We didn't have that. We had one season, the first season after administration, we were minus 10 points. And then to compound things, the next season, we had another 17 points deducted because we'd been in administration before. So this was like minus 27 points. So we start the season minus 17 points. And I think the key, Wayne, to our total success was we developed a siege mentality in the dressing room. We had a young manager with no experience that we brought in, Eddie Howe. And Eddie's like my son. We spent 12 years together. According to the late John Mostyn, the voice of British football, the only chairman and the only manager in British football history to have ever been chairman and manager of the same club at the same time in all four divisions. So the first thing is it's that consistency of leadership that is absolutely necessary. Then the siege mentality that the whole world is against us. The regulator is against us. Why would they actually give us points deduction when they know we had economic problems? We had a 12-month embargo. We couldn't buy any players, which obviously I was pleased about because I didn't have to buy any. But the manager wasn't very happy that we couldn't strengthen the squad. So he learned how to improve players, where managers today only look to buy players rather than improving the squad. I know that's just a sort of a line across many spectrums of managerial skill, but Eddie could improve players probably better than most managers that I know. And then we had this consistency. The same players came from Division 2 through to Division 1. That, and there was doubt. Wayne, everybody kept telling them, you are not good enough for this division. The only people that didn't listen to that were our players. And they kept going on and on and on. And we had more or less the same tie that took us to the Premier League. And that was the consistency. Our hierarchy, myself, Maxim Demin, who was our Russian owner at the time, my chief executive, Neil Blake, our head of recruitment, who is now with Liverpool, Richard Hughes. We were inseparable. I mean, it included our manager and our assistant manager. They were part of the inner sanctum. So everybody was singing from the same hymn sheet. Whenever I'm out, doing my public speaking, motivating, and I visit football clubs and talk about our journey and how I can help develop their mentality. And just for the avoidance of doubt, I'd love opportunities to, come to the States, to share my story, with, all leagues. It doesn't have to be, the MLS, I feel at home very much with the pyramid, or what may become a pyramid in the United States, and talking to people about what can be achieved with limited resources, and it's that dream that keeps coming back. When we were promoted, within a couple of minutes, I had a microphone pushed in front of me, and I don't know where this came from, but I was asked, it was the BBC at the time, and said, Jeff, what are your thoughts now? You're in the Premier League. Do you realize you are in the holy grail of world football? And I said, if Hans Christian Andersen could have ever written a fairy story about football, this was it tonight. This shouldn't happen. It was a fantasy. And yet here we are. And all this, the pride that I had, I left school at 15 with no qualifications at all, apart from a degree in truancy, because I never went to school. I was bullied every day, of my school life, well, within reason, and there was no incentive. So I used to go to football. I used to go and watch Manchester City and Manchester United train, collect autographs, go into school to sell them so I'd get enough money to go to the next match. And here I am, a Premier League chairman. It was just an amazing dream, Wayne. And even today, I still have to pinch myself to think that I achieved that in my lifetime.
Well, it gives me chills just to think about it. It's really amazing. I mean, it's an incredible story of just constantly overcoming all of the different challenges. And one of the things that sounds really, it sounds like it was one of the keys to your success was the relationships that you were able to build with, whether it was the players, whether the coaches, the managers, you said, like how did you do that? I mean, you had at the time you had another full-time job as well, right? I mean, you were working on it. Like, how did you develop all those relationships and spend time with people and really get everyone to be focused on that one goal?
Well, I think that God didn't give me very much, but what he gave me was this incredible, extreme amount of enthusiasm. So my glass is always overflowing. It's not even half full. I'm a great believer in my dad, bless his soul, taught me there's only three ways ever to be successful. The first one is to work hard. The second one is to work hard. And the third one is to work hard. And if you've got a great work ethic, you can be taught the skills that are relevant to your own skill set. You could be a child protege, have the most incredible life, but it's not on your watch. So my life is built on this second thing that I think God gave me, was this uncanny ability to make nearly everybody I meet in my life feel special. And you can't be everything to everybody. Some people don't like you, and you just have to accept that. But every day at the football club, I would go into every single department and tell my staff how valued they are, how incredible they are, and what an amazing contribution they are making to the success of the club. From the stewards to my fellow board members, my fellow executives. And Maxim, bless him, owned the club. I sold him my shares in 2013. And it was nearly 10 years later when Maxim sold to Bill. And I had the honor of being the chairman of the club. And he entrusted me and my chief executive, Neil Blake, to run the business on his behalf. And if it ain't broken, don't fix it. We did something right, taking this club from oblivion to the Premier League. And it's now one of the most recognizable clubs, almost everybody's second favorite. We can never get over the fact that, you're not going to be able to compete with the incredible resources of Manchester City, Manchester United, Tottenham, Arsenal. In the States, we know that if, without being derogatory to my own club, or I'll use Brentford because they're dear friends of mine, you're not going to willingly set the alarm at 3 o'clock in the morning in New York to watch AFC Bournemouth against Brentford. But your watchers play Manchester United or Liverpool or Arsenal or Chelsea. So you have to give credit to those elite sides. But we're challenging them. And it's all within the relevance of Manchester United getting 67,000 people in the Theatre of Dreams at Old Trafford watching a game, and we have 10,300. 10,300 is
Wow.
almost our capacity, Wayne. And it has been since we were in the Premier League. Bill has just announced now that we're going to extend the ground to double that, round about 20,000. But proportionately, it's still a small football club. And what we've achieved is, it just never ceases to amaze me. But it's the love that people have, the community, It's the camaraderie, the team spirit, the enthusiasm. I could just go on and on and on, extolling all the virtues of what we've done and how we do it. And I've always said one of my real dreams is I spent 3 years working in Florida just before I started my own business, providing that financial advice to the armed forces. I feel I'm more American than British, because I love success. I know that, Americans love success. I love speaking in America when I've had my gigs in America. And I have this burning ambition, even at my age, to come over to the States to do my motivational presentations or just to sit down with clubs. It's called my famous presentation. It's called An Evening with Jeff, and it's like you and I talking now. And I just absolutely love it because I know people love an underdog story. And if there's ever a dog or an underdog that's better than this, then I need to come and actually be introduced to them because I think this is the greatest story ever told.
It's an
So if
incredible
there are
story, and I'm
willing,
so
willing takers out there, just reach out to me. I will literally be on the first plane to, share all the joy and all my experience from every level of football. I have an awful lot to share.
well, Jeff. This has been an amazing conversation. Thank you so much for joining us on our 76 Capital Sports Leadership Show. Um, Make sure that everybody goes out there and purchases the book, The Chairman.
So I'm
And
going
if
to
you
get,
want,
I'm just going to grab it.
there it is. Look at that. What a great cover. What a great cover.
And
It's a great book.
that's
Look
the
at that.
greatest moments I've ever had in sport with myself and Eddie Howe. So, Wayne, I'm humbled. I'm humbled to have been asked to be on your show. It's been an absolute honor and a privilege to share part of my story with you. And I hope we get an opportunity to meet in person in the not too distant future. And my love and respect to all your viewers and listeners for tuning in today.